Hey guys, Shalana here. Welcome to the Binge Zone. On today's video, we're going to be recapping Season 1 of Altered Carbon. And without further delay, let's just dive into the recap. Season 1 starts off with flashbacks of Takeshi Kovacs engaging with SeaTac soldiers. Takeshi then violently wakes up in Riker's sleeve in Alcatraz prison. Officer Ortega then takes Takeshi to Lawrence Bancroft. Along the way, he learns of religious fanatics who have a problem with stacks being re-sleeved. Takashi then meets Miriam Bancroft, who gives him a small tour of the Bancroft estate. Bancroft then meets Takashi, whom he wants to use his skills to solve Bancroft's murder. However, Takeshi rejects Bancroft's offer to help him solve his murder. Takeshi then leaves and hallucinates about his younger sister Rei before wandering the streets of Bay City taking drugs. Ortega then finds and takes Takeshi to a bar and continues to interrogate him. Takeshi leaves to go to the Raven Hotel where he's ganged up on by hitmen who all meet their end at the hands of the AI Poe. Takeshi continues to hallucinate in his now drug-induced state before he goes to tell Bancroft that he's taking the case. Now that the case has been taken, Takeshi meets Miss Prescott, the Bancroft family lawyer, and they start their investigation in the Bancroft family vault at Psychosec. Takeshi suspects Lawrence Bancroft in his own murder, and Ortega must tell Miss Henchy that her daughter's body, Mary Lou Henchy, is missing, which happens to be the body of the woman that fell in the lake in the beginning of the first episode. Takeshi's investigation leads him to the Marine named Elliot that after a brief scuffle learns Elliot is keeping his daughter's Lizzie Stack in a virtual reality trauma loop. Ortega talks to her mother, who is a proponent of not having stacks re-sleeved. Takeshi then travels to a whorehouse in Lake Town called Jack It Off and questions a whore named Alice about Lizzie. Ortega arrests Takeshi because of a brawl that happened outside of Jack It Off with some lowlifes and Elliot. Takeshi is released and goes back to the Raven and has sex with Miriam Bancroft. Ortega then confesses her sins to nobody as it is revealed that she stole Mary Lou's stack and Takeshi and Miriam are being watched. A flashback to Takeshi's childhood shows that him and Ray had an abusive father. Takeshi and Ortega are invited to Bancroft's dinner party. Takeshi makes a deal to help Lizzie in exchange for Elliot's help. Elliot and Takeshi strap up for Bancroft's party. Elliot witnesses Poe beginning to psychotherapize Lizzie. Takeshi arrives at the party and eventually begins to question the people at the party, like the Bancroft children. After some people display their unusual treasure for other guests, they all reconvene upstairs to witness a married couple fight a sleeve death match where Takeshi unwillingly enters. Takeshi wins the fight and is soon informed by Bancroft to stop fucking his wife while relaying that the investigation has turned up nothing. Elliot finds surveillance footage of the night Lizzie was murdered and Takeshi is betrayed by Alice and taken to the Way Clinic. At the Way Clinic, Takeshi is being tortured in a virtual reality integration program. Takeshi continues to be tortured by Demi the twin. Ortega spins her dead grandmother's stack into a prisoner's body for Halloween dinner. Ortega's religious family does not support restacking. Flashbacks show Kelchris, Faulkner, and Takeshi training to learn how to escape virtual reality torture. Takeshi manages to free himself from the simulated construct and manipulates personnel into freeing him before Takeshi ends up killing everyone at the clinic. Ortega's grandmother then asks her granddaughter not to re-sleeve her. Her investigation of the crime scene at Way Clinic leads Ortega back to the Raven, where Takeshi sees how valuable his current sleeve is to Ortega. Rikers interrogates a system tech about Mary Lou's death. Takeshi leaves the Raven to meet Bancroft, but instead is approached by Miriam, who offers him a way out of the Bancroft case. The Ghost Walker impersonates a cop and infiltrates the BCPD. Takeshi observes Bancroft's interaction with a group of people who are carriers of a plague. Ortega and Takeshi's investigation leads them to a black market fighting ring where the promoter, Carnage, has surveillance of Bancroft assaulting Isaac during one of the fights. Takeshi and Ortega believe Isaac is the culprit in the Bancroft murder. A bleeding Takeshi is taken back to Ortega's home where she fixes him up before having hot, passionate sex. After failing to get the information Ortega needed to get from the interrogation of Riker being framed by Demi the twin, Ortega gets into a fight with the Ghost Walker in an elevator, which leaves her critically injured and about dead. Takeshi then takes Ortega to a hospital where she is fitted with a high-grade bionic arm during the surgery. Elliot is at odds with Poe's methods when it comes to psychotherapizing Lizzie. Takeshi goes to Bancroft's home to keep him updated about the investigation, but soon realizes he made a mistake in suspecting Isaac, because Isaac doesn't have this despair needed to kill his own father before Bancroft destroys his clone. Demi the twin escapes being killed by the Ghost Walker Liang. In the hospital, Ortega wakes up to find out Takeshi replaced her arm, and that Tanaka is being paid to look the other way by an unscrupulous character known as Hemingway as she attacks Tanaka. Demi the twin re-sleeves in Takeshi's old sleeve and kidnaps Ortega and Takeshi. Demi brings them to the fighter dome where Takashi and Ortega fight mutated human beings. After they win, they must fight Demi. Takashi and Ortega inflict the real death on Demi the twin, and when all hell breaks loose, Takashi and Ortega are saved by Ray. A flashback shows Takashi offering his own father to protect Ray and joining SeaTac. Ray works to save Takashi before Takashi tells her to save Riker's sleeve. During a SeaTac mission, Takashi runs into Ray and they both betray the people they work for and kill everybody. Ray and Takashi plan on leaving the planet before being ambushed and kidnapped by the envoys. Kelchris Faulkner convinces Takashi to join the envoys, and the next day they begin trading despite not being warmly welcomed. During another envoy mission, Takashi is left behind and taken into an interrogation simulation by Yeager, which he escapes with the help of Kelchris. Ray then wants to leave with Takashi, but he refuses. Takashi talks to Kelchris and finds out her name is Nadia Makita, the inventor of the stacks and why she built them. They soon have hot sex and Ray sees them together. Envoys start killing each other while Takashi looks for Ray. SeaTac soldiers find the envoys because of Takashi, who draws their gunfire away from Ray and Kelchris so they can escape. Takashi finds out that Ray sleeved herself into various people he had encountered in his investigation before he learns that Ray killed Kelchris, and she did it all for him. Ray then threatens to kill the people Takashi has become close to if he doesn't close the Bancroft case. Takeshi pushes away from Ortega in order to save his dipper, who happens to be Elliot's wife Ava, but in the body of a man. Ava reunites with Elliot back at the Raven. Ava also reunites with her daughter in VR. Poe kills one of his AI buddies with the Rawling virus, and Takashi goes to Bancroft's home and begins to sell him a lie. Takashi frames Prescott for Bancroft's murder. Ortega ends up killing multiple clone sleeves of Ray inside a vault in Psychosec. Ray has taken control over Ortega's body, and Luang kills Ortega's entire family as retribution. Ray makes it clear she will do whatever it takes to get Takashi back to her, as she tells Luang to follow a clone sleeve of Riker, whom enters the hovercar with Miriam. Takashi tries to get rid of Ava, Elliot, and Mickey so he can play the hero and save Ortega and stop Raylene, but they don't listen and help Takashi infiltrate Head in the Clouds. Elliot poses as a general as he enters Head in the Clouds and witnesses firsthand the sexual perversion that goes on up there. Takashi fights his way in the station and fights his way against time to stop Ray from backing up. The team stops Raylene from backing up, and she tells the whole story of how she uses Bancroft's perversion as leverage in order to manipulate him into stopping Resolution 653 from being passed in the UN court, which would have ruined her. It also revealed that Bancroft did in fact kill himself. Ortega is trapped in a virtual reality loop where she sees her family dying. In the real world, Luang kills Poe and Mickey kidnaps Ava. Lizzie is then uploaded into a synthetic sleeve in the Head in the Clouds and goes on a killing spree. Ortega, Ava, and Elliot are taken away, and Ray plans to forcefully get her brother back. A massive brawl ensues with Ortega fighting and eventually killing Luang, and Raylene and Takashi fight, and Takashi eventually killing Ray after he learns that Kelchris was backed up. Takashi holds Raylene's lifeless sleeve as Head in the Clouds crashes down on the planet. Some time passes and the Bancrofts host another party where the truth about Bancroft is broadcasted on the news. During Bancroft's arrest, it is revealed that Lizzie was pregnant with Bancroft's baby, and Miriam assaulted her and terminated the pregnancy. And it was Ray who drove Lizzie mad. Law 653 ends up passing. Ava is back in her old sleeve and the family is back together. Riker will be put back in his old sleeve, and Takashi searches for Kelchris. Well guys, that is the recap of season 1 of Altered Carbon. Hopefully this has saved you guys time and you guys don't have to watch the entire first season all over again. And if you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. And until next time, binge on.